Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Fiona and this is Fiona's Life. So I'm going to continue my story about moving abroad and ending up in China. But this is the airport experience. And then what happened once I arrived in Pudong, China. So the day before my flight, I baked the perfect vegan banana bread and made some perfect fritters. I'd also went to Holland & Barrett and bought some nuts and seeds, all for my trip to China. And I was going to pack them. The plan was to pack them in my carry-on to take on the plane with me, so I had food to eat. And I did pack them in my carry-on the next day. So the next day arrives, and I have arrived at the airport, Heathrow Airport, on time, and I'm checking in my bags. And the lady tells me that my bags are overweight. Now, my employer then paid for everything in terms of, my flights and etc. But I didn't check. What would be my responsibility was checking that the baggage allowance was what the baggage allowance was, and to make sure that I'm either going, if I go over, I will pay for it, not a problem, because I could claim it back. So anyway, I then she said to me that I needed to either pay £1,000. £1,000. Now, even though I can claim it back, I don't want to give up £1,000 when I need all my money when I get there. And claiming things back, and I didn't know how much I could claim back. So you could claim back some parts of it. I doubt that I would have been able to claim back £1,000 worth of luggage. Definitely not. So she said, you can either pay £1,000 or you get rid of some of the things that you don't want. So I took my bags, couldn't complete the check-in, and I looked through my suitcase at the things that I hadn't really worn and may not wear, and I got rid of a few things, but not enough that it would bring down the kg. So there was a baggage company just to the left of me near the check-in. And so I asked them if they store things, and then I called my family to say, look, I can't take all my things, can you ship them? Which would be, and worked out to be, like a couple of £100, really, really cheap. And so that's what I did. I paid the storage fees, and then I also arranged for my family to just ship my my belongings, my 2 suitcases. So what I did was, there's a spot in Heathrow, I think they're in all of the areas, I'm sure they are, where you can weigh your things and also open up your suitcase and sort things out. And so that was what I was doing. I'd already decided I'm just going to put my essential things plus all of my toiletries that I'm shipping over, my excess toiletries, into one suitcase. Keep in mind, my banana bread and my fritters and some of my nuts, not all of them, were in my carry-on suitcase, my smaller suitcase. So I reorganized the suitcase and took 2 suitcases, the carry-on and one of my large ones, to the storage company and asked them gave them the details, filled out the form, paid the money, and got them to just wait, because actually my family was going to come and pick up the things from the airport. So I checked in, got through, and thought, I'm just going to relax now. I had some nuts, I drank some of my water that it wasn't water, I think it was coconut water I bought from the shop, and I'm just going to relax until my flight's called. I'm going to phone people and let them know I've checked in, and that type of thing. You're moving abroad, you just want to have those last conversations before you kind of get on that plane to fly to nearly the other side of the world. So I'm chilling, having phone calls. I was literally on the phone when I just kind of looked up to my right and noticed that my flight said boarding. And I did a double take, because I thought, no, it can't be, because I've got plenty of time, I must have. Looked up and it said boarding. I packed all my things really quickly And the gate, the gate was so far away. And if you've been to Heathrow, or if you've been to some of those airports where they have really long walks to the actual gate, it takes ages, lots of escalators and just lots of walking. So I packed my things really quickly and I started to run. I don't know why. I think I was just stressed and nervous, you know, this whole new adventure. And I just started running, and my phone fell out of my pocket onto the floor, and that was it. It never worked again. I picked up the phone. I'm laughing now. I picked up the phone and there was nothing. I looked at it and there was absolutely nothing. And that just brought on even more stress for me. So I had to continue to the gate, stressed out, lots of things going in my mind, like, oh my God, how am I going to contact anyone back home when I arrive there? Because that's the whole plan. You arrive, you give everybody a message and just say that, you know, I've arrived safely and it's a little bit like this. I couldn't see so much because it's dark, you know, all those types of conversations. So I got to the gate. No one was moving. Everyone was seated and they weren't ready. Yeah, it said boarding. But being a traveler now, I know that if you see boarding on the screen, it just means, you know, you be mindful, just start making your way, but you don't have to break your neck, because a lot of the time when it says boarding, you get there, they're not even ready. So I got there really distressed, really distressed. And so I had to ask somebody. I asked somebody if I could use their phone. My phone had just broken, and I just wanted to call my family at home in England, where, you know, right here in this country that I was in, and just let them know that my phone's broken and I don't know when I'm going to contact you again. You know, I was going to China. It was the beginning of the year and it was Chinese New Year holiday, or the start of Chinese New Year holiday, and no one was going to be around and a lot of things were going to be closed. So I didn't know when or even where, because, you know, I've never been there before, and so I don't know where, what, is there a shop nearby, is there, you know, how am I even going to get around? So the person that I asked, let me use their phone, shout out to them if they're watching, let me use their phone, and I called my family and said, this is what's happened, I'm going to send emails and, you know, I'll speak to you as soon as I get a new phone. So, and keep in mind, I still haven't remembered that I have left my food in my suitcase that is in storage. So anyway, so we're now board the plane. I'm just stressed. I wasn't happy on that plane. Just was not a happy, exciting moment for me, because I was just going through my mind like, okay, when my things get shipped, you know, how am I going to get them? Are they going to come directly to me? I was just going through all those things and just stressed. Anyway, it's a long flight to China. If you haven't been there, it's like you're getting there, it's hours and hours on the plane. And I arrived in China, Pudong Airport, and my first impressions of the airport was, it was then quite grey. I mean, this is the beginning of 2017, and it was quite grey. Well, it didn't have the, you know, like you go to, for instance, Singapore airport, it's just colours, or you go to Dubai airport, it's just fancy and gold and sparkling. And this airport was, Pudong Airport, at least the terminal that I went into or arrived at, and I can't remember which one it was quite grey, just didn't have any kind of life to it. And I made my way to the passport area. Quite a few people actually, the plane was full, and I went through passport control. There was no issues. My employer had arranged for people to come and collect me. They were there. They had my name, Fiona, written down on a card, and I met them, and we made our way out of the airport. The very first thing that I noticed about China was, on the motorway or highway, motorway stroke highway, overhead, so like almost like a traffic light overhead, going all the way down to where we were, and this is a normal thing just in China, was flashing lights, flashing lights. And actually what it is flashing lights and the camera taking information from the car. And I thought that was the strangest thing, and it's really, really bright, really bright. The strangest thing that I've ever seen. It was a long drive. Pudong, the area is huge. I mean, from where I was back into the city, because the airport is outside of the city. But whilst I was living there, from where I lived and into the city, on the fast train it would take about 50 minutes, and the slow train would take about 2 hours, up to 2 hours. So it's a big, big place. So anyway, drove to the place that I was staying. It was nice, it was new, it was super clean. They bought me a cup, and it had, when I unwrapped it, it had a smiley face on it. They'd left me a handwritten note telling me who my driver was going to be. They'd left money for me, what the Wi-Fi, usual types of things, which was really nice. I wasn't able to phone, but I did send an email home to say, you know, I've arrived safely. It's dark here though, so I can't even see anything. I couldn't see anything. You know, you can just make out trees and little things and houses and things, but I couldn't, there was nothing else to see. And then I slept for like 2 days after that flight. That flight is hard. Flying from China, from east to west and west to east, it's really hard. It's really hard. And then keep in mind, I still have not realized my food is in England in a suitcase with the storage people. Still didn't even enter my head. So 2 days later, I'm alert and, you know, ready to kind of go out and explore. I had a driver, and a driver took me to the supermarket for the first time. That was just so different. But yeah, that was my first impressions of China when I arrived. And also my experience getting to China wasn't the greatest. As for my suitcases, I will do another vlog on that one, because that was a headache in itself. But I did eventually get them, and it did take 2 weeks. As I said, I will tell another vlog about that. But yes, stressful flight, safe flight, got there safely. Everything else worked out well. But that was my journey from Heathrow to Pudong. I hope you'd enjoyed that story. And if you haven't watched my first vlog on how I moved abroad and ended up in China, please check it out. Okay, bye-bye.